Welcome to the Sykes, the Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast, your regular dose of pharmacy CPA advice to fuel your bottom line, featuring pharmacists, key vendors, and other innovators. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of our Bottom Line Pharmacy Podcast. Today, we're super excited to have a client and good friend of ours, Jared Tippins from The Pharmacy in Florence, South Carolina, with us. Jared, how are you today?
I'm doing well, guys. How are y'all?
Doing great.
Fantastic. Appreciate you getting on today, Jared. You're looking good. You're looking fresh.
Appreciate it.
How's it going there in Florence, Jared, with the pharmacy?
Life is good. Today marks 6 years of the pharmacy being open. Fresh startup, fresh build out. Started from the bottom, 0 prescriptions. And here we are today, averaging around 1,000 scripts a day.
Yeah, it's awesome.
6 years later, and today is truly the 6th, marks November 29th, 2016. We opened the doors here at the pharmacy in Florence, South Carolina.
That's super. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, congrats. I mean,
that's a big part of what we kind of want to talk about today is, startups and really how to be super successful with a startup. I work with lots of startups, as you know, it's how, our relationship started. But I will say, I don't have a problem saying it, you were probably the most successful startup that I have ever worked with in our client base. As far as how quickly you were able to become profitable and successful, and the growth happened so quickly. And again, like you mentioned, I just want to throw it out there. I mean, you were a pure startup. This wasn't a backfill. This wasn't any kind of runoff from some other sort of pharmacy. You built your building from scratch and started right there in Florence. Obviously, the average for lots of startups, we like to say is, can be 18 to 24 months is what we like to see for pharmacies to become profitable, to start showing some positive income. But you did that within a couple months. So tell us, what do you think was the biggest factor in allowing you to be successful quicker? Was it just luck, or was there other factors you think involved?
So I think there were a couple of things that led to success. So one would be location. So I kind of went out on a limb and built a store on a busy corner where Walgreens was actually going to build their building. A guy that was in Rotary with me had the land for sale, and I found out that Walgreens might be going there. So I kind of plucked that from them. So we have about now that within 6 years, at that time, it was around 30,000 cars on one road and 20,000 on the other, right in, right out. Great location. So now that's probably increased 5,000 to 7,000 on each side as this area continues to grow. So location, I think is key, and people always say it. And I always say, just throwing some numbers out there. If you borrow $3 million and you can't pay your note, that you will be broke. And if you borrow $800,000 and you go in a strip center on a side road that nobody knows about, and you can't pay your note, you're going to be broke. Yep. So I always said I want to go big or go home. So we wanted to go on a major corner and be able to have people there. The second thing was, as kind of a theme around here, and everybody who works with me kind of knows that I always talk about meaningful relationships, building meaningful relationships within this community. So I didn't grow up essentially here in Florence, but I grew up around 30 minutes away from here in Lake City, South Carolina. And so when I got to Florence, I started getting involved. I got on the board for Florence County Disabilities and Special Needs. I got on the board for All for Autism. I got on the board for McLeod Foundation. So I started getting involved, Rotary Club, everything that I could be involved in. I wanted to be at the table instead of on the table. I always say that as well. So I wanted to be at the table with a lot of key stakeholders in the town and make meaningful relationships. So loving on people, making those relationships. I often say if you could put love in a bottle and you could sell it, you wouldn't have to work very long. All people are looking for is for love. So I created a master plan of neighborhoods. And actually, when we were very slow in the beginning, I put on shorts and tennis shoes, polo shirt, went door to door with door hangers and koozies, and introduced myself and said, hey, I'm Jared Tippins. I own the new pharmacy on the corner of Hoffmeyer and Beltline. Obviously, everybody had seen the building going up. That's one advantage of building a store. It gives people time to talk about it and kind of see what's going on, and it gives the spin of what's happening when you're building a store rather than just moving in. The building's already been there.
Yeah.
So obviously, people knew that the pharmacy was there, and so I went around and made those relationships. And it was something that was kind of unique, it stood out. How many pharmacists go to people's door and knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and introduce themselves?
And I do remember, I remember having a call with you months into it, just to talk about your financials and whatever. And you were in your car and you were delivering, I believe at the time, like you yourself were delivering some things to people. And I just remember thinking that was super neat.
Right.
Like you said, a great thing to do when you're slower in the beginning. That's the time to get out there and get your face out there in the community.
Definitely. And, I think most people are kind of scared to start off with two pharmacists, but, one pharmacist being at the store, one pharmacist being out in the community trying to get people in. It's kind of a smart, strategy. Mm-hmm. And so I went to those doors. I knocked on those doors, met those people. So when Kmart closed down the road, those people, who did they remember coming to their door? They remembered me. They were like, what pharmacy should I go to? But it stuck out in their mind. Even if it had been a year ago, it kind of still resonated, and they passed by this busy location every day. When Rite Aid closed down, what happened? People remembered me going to the door. It's just like McDonald's. I look at them and I say, back in the day when they were starting, everybody had square signs. That's all I see. But what did McDonald's do? They did arches. So they stood out. Their signs stood out. So what could we do to stand out in our community at the pharmacy? What makes us different? Everybody can put pills in a bottle. Everybody can, say, hey, how are you? But, execution is important, but also the meaningful relationships and doing what sticks out and is different from someone. Another example is every year I always go to Pennsylvania and I buy apples. And in the fall, we give apples out at the drive-thru. I mean, we just do everything we can do to just kind of be different. Are you ever going to get apples at the drive-thru at CVS? You're not. I know that sounds silly and it's a very small thing, but people, like, to this day, just a few months ago, it happened. They're like, thank you for the apples. Somebody just told me that last night at the dinner party.
Those are some good apples.
Yeah, they're good. They're good apples. So,
yeah, and it's not like you just went and got them from the grocery store. I mean, you made the effort to go and get them from Pennsylvania and bring them down. Yeah,
straight off the tree. Yeah, we bag them in pharmacy bags like that you would use at the grocery store to kind of take things out. So it has our logo on there. It's just the different things, I think, that stick out. Loving on people, going the extra mile. We don't offer delivery service here, but obviously if somebody, if they needed us to take them something, we would. It's a small thing. Mm-hmm. So we give back to this community a lot. I think, Bonnie, you probably could say on our charitable contributions, we probably gave back over $100,000 last year to this community. And
you even put yourself out there and danced in a competition. I mean, that's
right. Yeah, I did dance with the stars. Yeah, we raised.
That's worth $100,000 donation right there.
It was crazy. So for the school foundation here, we raised around $60,000, and we just got the technicians to ask people at the register. Jared, our pharmacist, is dancing with the stars. Would you like to do a donation? Obviously, I got some corporate donations as well from friends, but just those small things, being involved, letting people know who you are, and having that good character and taking care of people can lead to success.
What things do you think maybe you're doing that's outside of, we talk about this a lot, outside of just normal script fills are you doing there to different lines of revenue?
Yes, I think that's very important. When COVID first came out or was presented to us, I thought maybe we could start testing. We had just got our CLIA waiver a few months prior to that, and I said maybe we could COVID test. And essentially, we started with 4 spots. I thought 4 spots would be enough. And anyway, we got some phones and created a designated line. And soon, it blew up. We were doing 600 to 700 COVID tests a day, and in a 2-year span, we did over 100,000 COVID tests. So that was one thing in the last 2 years that kind of is not our normal scope of practice, but we made it happen.
You killed it with the COVID response there. I mean, I just have to say, I mean, from the signage to the way everything, moved around.
Yeah, so that
execution was on point.
Phenomenal.
So we like in a 24-hour span, I had signs made, I had posts put up in the parking lot, I had sandbags or posts put in 5-gallon buckets with sand around it, and we created like 20 parking spots, and we would create a queue and just pull people into those spots, and we had tables lined up on the inside. I even had the guy who washes my car in a yellow jacket along with some other guys with walkie-talkies, kind of like Chick-fil-A style, executing and telling people where to go. So that was one thing that was really strong for us. Also, getting into nursing homes and executing COVID vaccines along with flu vaccines just recently. So the new booster came out, so we could administer the flu vaccine and COVID booster as well. So we got into a few nursing homes. That was pretty good. You could make really well, in one day or half a day, immunizing 100 to 200 people. So that was really big for us as well.
Jared, it's you really have a model for how to do it, and location, relationships, pounding the pavement. Really could write a book on that. But what going forward, where you are here 6 years in, I mean, where do you see the biggest challenges? Where do you see kind of what's next for the pharmacy there, and how you're going to continue to grow and serve your community?
Yes, I'm always telling my pharmacists when we have our team meeting that, I need to be working on the business instead of in the business, and coming up with a unique idea and seeing where we could go. So I have many different thoughts about where we could go in the future, whether it be specialty, and we don't have a specialty pharmacy in this county. So maybe align with the hospital systems here, and maybe do 340B along with specialty. Another idea that I had was maybe we could put a couple of physicians here, add on to the back of the building, and do collaborative practice agreements and embed pharmacists into that practice, doing chronic care management, annual wellness visits, remote patient monitoring. So kind of always thinking about how can we generate revenue outside of just traditional dispensing. So our next thing is one of those things, and I actually just purchased all the land next to my store, so we have about 14 acres on this corner now. So we have a lot of options to do whatever we want to. So I think I'll just probably build onto the back of the store. I think infusion pharmacy is huge. I think a lot of your blockbuster drugs and where things are happening is in specialty pharmacy per se. I think we put specialty pharmacy on it, but I don't see a lot of new blockbuster drugs coming out in a non-injectable form or a pill form, so to speak. So I think that specialty pharmacy and aligning with some of the hospitals and doing 340B will make us successful for sure.
I have a question. So I love what you said about working on the business instead of in the business. Right now, where I think nationwide and any industry, it's a real challenge to find the right talent that you want. How do you motivate your people? How do you find the right person and motivate them to kind of take responsibility within the pharmacy that allows you the freedom to then work on the business instead of in the business?
Yeah, Kendall. So I don't get to do that every day, but I tell you, creating a strong policies and procedures, and also every person that I hire, I always tell them, if you take care of me and take care of the patient, I'll take care of you. So one example is this past weekend, we went to Charleston. We had a big weekend, took everybody. We stayed downtown Charleston, South Carolina. We went to High Cotton and ate. We had the menu set out, had the pharmacy logo at the top. I just set the bar real high. And wherever you set the bar in your pharmacy is where the people will go. people want to be a part of what's successful. And so I give them opportunities that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. So we go on trips. And like this past summer, we went to Isle of Palm. So we closed the pharmacy down one Saturday. So we left on Friday. We went to Isle of Palms and stayed at this nice resort. We went downtown Charleston, ate some good food. I gave Christmas bonuses. And so I incentivize people monetarily, but what I've learned is not always monetarily what people are looking for. People are looking for experiences. So I try to combine both together and push forward. Also, I have daily, weekly talks, and I read this book called 9 Lives About Work. And one of those things is you need to have a conversation with all your people, at least if it's just 5 minutes once a week. So I try, whether it be positive or whether it be negative, I always try to take 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes with each person and have a conversation. If I don't get to have it at the store, I'll call them on the phone at night or whatever. And I know that sounds a little different as well, but it's just what makes it work. This is what I like that you're doing. This is what I saw that you're doing. If I'm not here and I'm driving down the interstate working on something, I'm watching the cameras, I'm listening to what's happening. Are we asking for flu shots? Are we doing, I always preach, let's do the same thing the same way every single time when it comes to a production type standpoint, because it creates neural pathways in your brain to become better and better and better. So we say, if you come to our drive-thru, we say the same thing every time. Hey, how are you? What name are you picking up for? And then we have a secondary person going to pull the bag. Or either we're on the walkie-talkie and somebody's outside and they're calling the names into the inside and they're pulling the bags and putting them on the bar in order where we could execute that line Chick-fil-A style. So that's another thing that sticks out in our community. We move our drive-through line. So talking about incentivizing the people who work here, I just keep the bar very high. People will rise to the bar. If you have low expectations, you get low expectations. If you have high expectations, that's what you get. People want to be a part of what's successful. They don't want to be mundane. They don't want to be in a situation where things aren't fresh, new, innovative. They want to be a part of something that's winning. They want to be on a winning team.
I always enjoy
Chick-fil-A pharmacy right there.
I always enjoy giving Island a hard time about when I see you do the trips and stuff with the staff. I'm like, look what Jared's doing this weekend. He's like, stop it. Because it's so funny. Because it is.
They love that. And that gives us a time. We get so it does a couple things, right? So they get to experience a nice meal. They get to experience a nice hotel. They get to experience those kind of things. But our time together and building those relationships that I talked about that we build with our patients, among a team, it gets everybody to know everybody and where their shortcomings are and how can they help each other and different things. So you learn a lot about people when you spend a weekend with them. And so we want everybody to be aware. Everybody's aware when you work with someone where, what people might have going on, but we don't always know what's going on in people's lives. So they get to know each other a little bit better. And it's just like our patients when they show up and they're frustrated. You never know what's going on in somebody else's life. I always preach that as well. The same thing with the people who work here. You never know what's going on in their life. So we need to have compassion and understanding. So it creates, a good bond between them when they have that time together.
And the results are there. I mean, you can look at your financials and see, again, with how successful your revenue is, your payroll is one of the lowest percentages of sales that I see as well. So it's incredible to see such low, tight payroll expense that you have in your store.
Yeah, I credit that to having those policies and procedures. It's even like down to production when we have somebody printing and pulling, prescriptions. I say print, then rip, then print again, where the robot can just keep going. So the robot usually doesn't turn off from 8 until 12. So we get here at 8 o'clock, we open at 9 o'clock. So it gives us an hour, and I always call that the golden hour. It's the most important hour. And we can crank out most of our sync during that time. And so we're very efficient, and that is how we keep the payroll percentage low. Even though we pay the people well, Yeah, so the payroll percentage is low. Yeah. Another thing that we've taken advantage of, going back to that, is at-home COVID test. That's been a great revenue cycle. So we find out from the patient if they would like them, and we put it with their sync. And so in Pioneer, I just created a speed code, and where you put the physician name, I just put equal 8 HCT. That's 8 home COVID tests, and it populates the whole prescription in Pioneer. So it was very easy to load those prescriptions in, and we were proactive in that. We knew what plans would pay for the COVID test, so we were proactive, loaded those in. If the patient wanted it, we just scheduled it with their sync. And so we've ranked up or pumped out a lot of at-home COVID tests. And we just pre-filled the bags. Like in the afternoon when we had downtime, we would just put 8 at-home COVID tests in pharmacy bags, staple them, and have them ready. Not passing 8 home COVID tests over to the pharmacist to check, because that's too much and it's too cumbersome for the pharmacist. So anyway, being efficient and creating efficient ways to do things is what we're looking to do. How can we improve what process that we're doing?
Seems like it's people
Goes to
and
the bottom
processes.
line too.
For sure.
All goes to that bottom line.
Well, I think in most pharmacies, people can account that payroll is probably one of the highest percentage on their P&L. So, that you got to monitor that, make your people efficient. Using those walkie-talkies and moving the line. It makes things happen.
Absolutely.
If you're going to talk to, if a pharmacy listening out there is going to say one thing about becoming efficient inside their pharmacy, like what would be to you, Jared, the number one thing? Like you got to have this to operate, to maximize efficiency. Like,
yeah, I think technology is important. So I try to stay ahead on the technology. So we have pill counting machines, and we also have robotics as well. So yesterday, just the robot itself did 560 prescriptions. So it's accounting for maybe 50 to 60% on most days. So that works out well. Of course, most of those prescriptions are synchronization prescriptions. So, when they come out. We prioritize our prescriptions based on color of baskets. We have green for a waiter. We have red for acute, like anything that's an antibiotic or anything like somebody could just Tamiflu, that kind of thing. And then we have black baskets for anything that's due in 3 days. Obviously, if I had a control, it would be do that next morning. So the night before we leave, we go ahead and push through around 60 to 100 prescriptions and leave the control in there. And we'll just come in and push the control through on the 30th day. That way, boom, at 8:20, we'll have 100 prescriptions in the print queue already. And we get there at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Pharmacists get here at 7:50. They turn the lights on. And that's the expectation at 8 o'clock that we're ready to go. Technicians get here at 8 o'clock. So we have it down to a science. Everybody knows what the expectation is. You're here at 7:50. The pharmacist knows that we're looking at the alarm. When you turn the alarm off at 7:50, when you walking in, you get the cash registers ready, you get all the computers turned on, turn the pill counting machines on, and have it. Let's rock and roll.
And your staff probably love it. I mean, your staff they have a structured area to work. They know exactly what's going on. I mean, they probably love that. Plus, in addition to all the,
I think
the
it
fun
can be
things they get
intense
to do.
sometimes, especially for newer people. It can be
working
very
them to the
intense,
bone.
but it can be intense. But
that's why he takes them to.
They like it after a while, for sure, Scotty.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to work in a confused environment, and we all know that pharmacy is in between the patient, the insurance company, the doctor. We got so many variables that could go wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more controlled environment that we have, it makes it better for everybody's stress level.
I think it's important, like you said, that you've got as the owner to have your finger on the pulse of what's going on. And one of my many favorite Jared stories is, again, we never know where he's going to pop up when we have our monthly calls. He's usually in his car, but one of the days he was in the car and he was in his parking. We were finally like, "What are you doing?" And he was in the parking lot of his pharmacy, but he was monitoring the progress of the drive-through, how well things were going through. So
if you ask anybody here, what one of the most important things for me is it's going to be moving the drive-through, because I think, I don't know why that's most important to me, but it sticks out to people that we're pretty much faster than, Chick-fil-A, so to speak, and we can execute that line. And every other pharmacy in this town, the line's always to the
Wrap
road,
around.
blocking traffic. It's crazy. So nothing can make people more upset than they get to the window, it's not ready. We make sure we have text messages set up for every new patient who come here. Every new patient, we write welcome on the bag with an exclamation point, and then we put text and a question mark. That cues the person at the register to say, did you get a text message? Because we don't want to return prescriptions to stop. We don't want people calling to ask us when the prescriptions are ready. They know. We've trained them that the prescription's ready when you get your text message. So we're not answering a phone call to say, it's not ready, it's in progress, they haven't called it in yet. They know when they get a text message that it's ready.
Yeah.
And so far, we've talked a lot about the processes, which are really strong, very strong within your pharmacy, and it obviously has led to a lot of success. But one thing that you said that I wrote down is selling love in a bottle. How do you feel your pharmacy is able to execute on that kind of vision to sell love in a bottle? How are you giving love to your patients within your processes?
Yeah, so Kendall, we have we have two pharmacies within one, have multi compounded pharmacy as well. So on any given day, we have 4 or 5 pharmacists here. And so it gives one pharmacist kind of the opportunity to go out into the aisles if somebody needs to talk, just like we're doing Medicare plans right now. That I call that loving on people. We're taking a pharmacist out of workflow, taking the opportunity to sit down, make sure the drug benefit plan is the best for the patient. They remember that. You sit down and you talk to somebody, they remember it. So we do that. When somebody walks in the door, the pharmacist is at Quality Assurance 1, who's facing the register at the front, they're required to speak to everybody. Hey, how are you? Not face down looking at a computer screen. Like, we need to have some enthusiasm. We're speaking to people. Pharmacists at Quality Assurance 2, they hear somebody's name at the drive-through. We need to make sure, that they recognize we're speaking to them. If some of my pharmacists are not as outgoing as the others, right? So how did I help them become engaged with patients? We had business cards printed. We had our cell phone number put on the business card. They walk out. They don't really, it's harder for some pharmacists to engage with patients rather than others. So we had the card. The card is to give to the patient. Well, if there's anything my name is Jared Tippins. I don't think I've met you yet. If there's anything I can help you with, here's my card. It has my cell phone number on here. If you need me, you can text me or call me. How many people really text or call? Not that many. But does it resonate in their head that, man, this guy just gave me their cell phone number? Does the pharmacist at CVS or Walgreens give the cell phone number? Not at all. So it's the gesture, that resonate. So that's just one way. We want to make sure when someone passes away, someone is sick, and we find out about it, all the technicians know, let's put a sticky note in a drawer. And we have one pharmacist who sends out notes to people for deaths, sickness, babies born. Sometimes we send a flower depending upon who the patient is and how long they've been here, how well we know them. So we do things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Every week, pharmacists are required to do write down 5 meaningful relationships, ideas, or tasks that they did that week. Something above and beyond what the normal pharmacist in a normal setting would do. So every week in my mailbox, they type up 5 things that they went above and beyond to make a meaningful relationship. Not just like, I called the doctor and got something changed. We're talking about like, what's 5 things that you did that were like above and beyond? Did you deliver something to someone's house? Did you make it happen for somebody? That kind of thing. So that's just some of the things. Again, expectation here, people deliver. If you write it down, it happened. If you talk about it and you just say you're going to do it, not really going to happen. So our theme kind of this whole year was, how can we make more meaningful relationships? People want to do business with people that they know and that they know care about them.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like that's like a master class on creating relationships with patients for a pharmacist. So I appreciate you
Well,
sharing
I
that.
think, that's with anything,
Hmm.
not just pharmacy, everything in life. It's just like the relationship I have with y'all. Like, I know that Caroline and all of you guys, but really I follow on Caroline and
Hmm.
Bonnie and Alan, is on my team. So I know at the end of the day, they got my back when it comes to financials. I'm not that strong. I know how to make money and I know how to take care of people, but when it comes to like all the tax stuff and planning and 401k and man, that thing, Bonnie can tell you, it like pisses me off when I get an email and I got to log into 401k and print out some documents and all this
He's
kind
just
of stuff. That's
Jared
just
loves to
not
be
what
like,
I
can you
like to
just do
do.
this for me? Can somebody please just do this for me?
Right. Yeah. Can somebody just do it for me? Tell me where I need to sign and let's keep it moving. So, the relationship I have with them and, I can just call and it's easy. That's what people want. People want access and people want you to take care of them. And that's
Hmm.
what we try to do is eliminate barriers here. Another thing is by being involved in the community and where you live in the community. So I live in a heavily populated physician community. So I have a lot of great relationships there. I joined the country club that I live at, and obviously I see them there. So I have most every physician's cell phone number in my phone. We don't have to call the front desk and kind of go through that whole hoopla and triage a call. I can send them a quick text message. Can I change blah blah to X? And it's easy, and boom, we got it done. The patient never even knows that it happened, and just
Took care of it.
make it
Yep.
happen.
Wow.
Then my pharmacists, I invite them to those events too. So like if I sponsor something, like at a cancer benefit or something like that, I get many tickets and we try to rotate pharmacists and I invite them to come and then we introduce those pharmacists to them. And how does it make those pharmacists feel that they got that relationship with the provider or community members at that point? It makes them feel good. It empowers them. And so we just take those tickets and we use them like that. Also for inspiring, I'm rambling on now, but one thing I do for pharmacists is, they wanted to go, some of them wanted to go see Luke Combs. So just one weekend, we got one pharmacist to cover, and we went down to Charleston and we saw Luke Combs. They love the Southeastern Wildlife Expo, some of them, and we just hop in the car. I love it too, so we'll just go to that and make a trip. So, it's just like random things. It costs money, yeah, but guess what? They're going to go the extra mile and make sure everybody's
Right.
taken care of. And if you take care of people, most of the time the financials will fall into place.
Amen to that.
So, guys, I think we're ready for the bottom line.
Yeah. So every episode we have a play on the financial statements, the bottom line, and we try to have a key takeaway, a couple of sentences, the bottom line from the discussion today. And so who wants to kick us off with the bottom line that they've taken away from today's
I'll go first
discussion?
before mine gets taken. This whole thing was full of bottom lines today. Real good stuff, Jared. I would say love on your patients and love on your employees. Both. I knew the patient part, but the employees part is huge too. It seems like obviously you want to keep your people. I've known that, but to see that it improves efficiency, it can improve just the entire, how effective they are with growing your business as well. It's a big part of it. So I think both of those are
Well,
big.
you can let me add on to that. It's not just being kind to your employees all the time. Tough love is important as well. So anybody who works for me or with me, I say with me, they'll tell you that I'm not always easy. That I show tough love.
Yeah.
We have hard conversations sometimes. But at the end of the day, they know that I got their back.
Yeah.
And they know if anything, they have a shortcoming or whatever, that I will always be there to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I even give an example,
Tough
I
love
do
is because
care.
you care.
Yeah, for sure. It's not easy. Do you think saying the same thing every day over and over, it's not easy. Like it'll wear me out. I always say, I wake up in the morning, I'm getting pounded. I go to bed, I'm getting pounded like all day long from cell phone calls or whatever, and issues. The more you grow, the more issues you have. The more employees you have, the more issues you have. Flu season comes, people's children get sick, on and on and on. So we have tough love conversations as well as you rocking and rolling. You did this great. Man, I'm proud of you for this. Here's this for appreciation.
Right.
That kind of thing. So I don't want to paint myself as the best employer because I'm not. I pretty much suck at leadership. I always say that. And that's my daily task, is to try to improve on leadership, because it's the hardest thing. And if I
it is
give
hard.
anybody words of advice, is learning psychology and leadership skills in your business is very important, because you don't deliver the same to every single person.
Mm-hmm.
I try to read books on that, but I still am not where I should be. And I'm kind of young, I guess, for where I'm at. So it's hard for me. Leadership's hard.
Yep.
It's hard for everybody, right?
Yep. What you got, Kendo?
What I got, I'm going back to this the same little quote about love in a bottle. So you're not selling pills, you're selling love, because anyone with a pharmacy license can get access to the same exact pill that you can get access to,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't get
True story.
access to the same love. So you're not selling pills in a bottle, but love in a bottle.
I love it.
I think my bottom line is this whole podcast has got full of golden nuggets for the bottom line. But the bottom line is the pharmacy is a model for sure for how to run a successful pharmacy and what success in a pharmacy looks like and how to do it. So, yeah, I mean, that's my bottom line. Hats off to you, Jared, and congratulations on your 6 years.
Congrats.
I can't imagine what the next 6 years have in store for you, and I'm sure it's going to be exciting and it's going to be fun to watch. So,
I appreciate the nice comments, and I appreciate the support that y'all have given. Even in the beginning, when your dad kind of looked at me like I was crazy, because I was this 29-year-old guy trying to borrow $3.5 million, and every bank in town was turning me away. And I finally found a meaningful relationship where I had kept working that same relationship at conferences, and somebody gave me a call and said, we don't really give loans for what you're trying to do, but we're going to give you an opportunity at the American Dream. And so I was given that opportunity, and I felt like, I've got to do something with this. I got to be a unicorn and show these guys that I can do it. I can't fail, and I don't have any other options. I mean, I could go back and work at CVS or whatever that, would entail. But really, at the end of the day, I had no option but to succeed. I didn't have backup. No one in my family is in the medical field, and really didn't have a strong financial backing either. So I kind of started this deal, with $100,000 to my name. And I was appreciative of that opportunity for the American Dream.
You always had confidence, which was good. Whether you truly felt it or not, you came across that you did. Came across that you knew what you were doing and that you had a plan. So that's important too.
But I'll say that the brain is a powerful thing. That's right. I was scared many nights for those first 6 months, but I always say the brain is a powerful thing. If you think you can, you can.
That's right.
If you create a lot of negative thoughts and a lot of snakes in your brain, you're probably going to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Mindset is important. The brain. The brain is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
That mindset has been a theme kind of for a few podcast episodes about branching out and success in pharmacy. So that's fitting. But I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Jared, we appreciate you coming on and, of course, being a wonderful client of ours. And again, we wish you the best success going forward and look forward to doing this again. We'll have to do it again next year. But thanks again.
Perfect.
And for all those listening out there, feel free to email us, send us any questions or comments or any topics you want to go over, and we're happy to help any way we can to any listeners out there. But for Bonnie, Kendall, and our guest Jared, thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time.
Your accounting is a mess. There's no need for you to stress. Go online and request from the best. We the best. Sykes and Company.